What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Jared Barnes Show. I'm your host, Jared Barnes. Tyler and Nate are here with me today. We have a lot of NFL stuff to talk about today. We have a lot of NBA stuff going on that we would like to talk about today. And to end this episode, this is the first time ever, sidetrack everything before I say what I was just about to say, that I've ever once. Is that a train horn in the background?
It is.
There's never a train to go through at this time of night. Are you kidding me? I apologize to everybody that just started this if this is your first episode. I did not plan on there being a train passing by. We don't even live anywhere near tracks. Shout out to AKG for such a fantastic mic, I guess, but we turn that down just a tad so it stops. It's not going to stop picking up the train horn. That's ridiculous.
I've never noticed it this loud.
Well, it's because there's never been a train to go through at this time of night. The railroads, I mean, good for them. They're moving product, but like, we ain't got to talk about it.
What a start.
What a start. But to end the episode today, if you're new or if you're somebody that's been following along, I mentioned last week that we're going to start a debate section of the show where maybe once every 2 weeks we debate something. Today we're starting that. And today we are debating who is the greatest of all time in basketball. And we will save our thoughts for then, but I believe there's two differing opinions in this room based on what I've gathered pre-show, and I am a loner in that stance. But let's get right into the NFL. This morning at about 11:30 Eastern time, a bomb dropped on the NFL world. One that's kind of shocking, but not really. Indianapolis Colts fired head coach Frank Reich. In his tenure as an Indianapolis Colts head coach, he went 40-33-1, which isn't great considering the talent that he had on his roster. In Jonathan Taylor, this is Taylor's third year. Quentin Nelson, who I believe it's his fifth year in the league. He has Darius Leonard. He has other guys on that team that are talented. He just always lacked a true franchise quarterback, and he's supposed to be the quarterback guru, and he never figured that out. And because of that, his tenure failed, and the Colts have done a lot of ridiculous moves over the last few weeks, but the biggest one they've made so far, and I don't know if it's a ridiculous move or not, is bringing in Jeff Saturday as their new interim head coach. Yes, that Jeff Saturday, the former center for the Indianapolis Colts. Ring of Honor member Jeff Saturday is now the Indianapolis Colts interim head coach. And I alluded to some of the wild moves they've made over the last few weeks. He called out Dan Snyder before the owners' meeting. He then benched Matt Ryan a few days later for a 6th-round pick, Sam Ehlinger. He then fired, it's not even listed on this tweet, last week he fired his offensive coordinator, and then this week he fires his head coach after saying he's safe. And then 20 minutes later, hires Jeff Saturday to take over the team. Jeff Saturday never coached in the NFL at any level whatsoever. And no coach on his current staff that is in Indianapolis has ever called a single play on the offensive side of the football. They have former head coaches on that team in Gus Bradley, just the one that I can think of. Gus Bradley, he wasn't a successful head coach, but he coached at the Jaguars. He's on the defensive side of the football. They have guys on that roster that have been head coaches in the past. Irsay went for the wild card and said, I'm going to hire a guy from outside who's a former very talented player that I had at one point in my career as the owner of this team, because I want to see what that guy brought to the locker room when he was here. I want to see success because they haven't really had that over the last few years. They've participated in 3 playoff games, going 1-2 in Frank Reich's tenure, which is not the Colts' way. Jim Irsay promised the city of Indianapolis 2 Super Bowls by 2030, and as of now, it doesn't look like he's going to live up to that promise unless he gets things figured out soon, and I think he's hoping this move is something that figures it out soon. In the press conference tonight for Jeff Saturday, Jim Irsay said that he believes that Saturday is ready, willing, and capable of being a good head coach. And he hopes that he's able to do enough to prove that he needs to be the full-time head coach. It's interesting the way they hired him because the interim head coaching hiring process, not something you normally talk about, but it doesn't include the Rooney Rule. So they don't have to interview any candidates that are of a minority. They can just hire whoever they wanted. So if Jeff Saturday would become the head coach, considering that they did hire him for the interim role, they would still have to go through the Rooney Rule process, no matter how successful Jeff Saturday is. And even then, you could literally, any coach could then pretty much, if they wanted to, do the Brian Flores move and file a lawsuit because they know they had no shot because they were just a minority candidate. Because if Jeff Saturday succeeds as the Colts head coach, I would not have any doubt in my mind that Jim Irsay is going to hire him to be the full-time head coach. Their future doesn't look great, but Irsay is maybe hoping that Jeff Saturday could bring some life to this Colts team. Do you guys think that that was like the most out of left field move and wildest thing that Irsay could have done? And do you think it's going to pay off for Irsay, or do you think it's going to fail in his face? Nate, you got anything to say?
I mean, I think that wasn't the first name that came to mind. When
No.
they said Colts legend, I'm thinking like Peyton Manning. I'm thinking, Reggie Wayne, probably head coach, just because they don't have anyone else. Reggie Wayne's the wide receiver coach. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I was going to say Reggie Wayne is on the roster. Like, if you wanted to go former great for your team, you could have gone Reggie Wayne, but he brought in someone that's completely outside of the coaching staff, which is bizarre, and you never see that in that kind of hiring practice.
That's not what I expect. I didn't expect to see Frank Reich get fired today, so that was out of left field in and of itself. But yeah, I think we'll see. I don't know how much to say on that, just because I don't follow the Colts. So
It was a bizarre move, and I hope the Colts, I hope they succeed, but I really have my doubts that this move's going to, there's more problems on that roster than just that. It was not just the head coach, and it was just not the offensive coordinator. That offensive line, highest paid offensive line in the league, one of the worst in the league. Can't score points. Jonathan Taylor can't stay healthy. They can't block a guy for Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's getting hit in the backfield more than he ever has. This is his third year in the NFL. He can't stay healthy. Not good. He's supposed to be the franchise guy. He's supposed to be the guy that puts the franchise on his shoulders. He can't stay on the field. They couldn't block for Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan pretty much got benched and injured because of how bad this offensive line is. I think that's maybe one of the reasons that he hired Jeff Saturday. Or maybe he just hired Jeff Saturday because a few weeks ago they had a Ring of Honor ceremony for a player that got inducted into the Colts Ring of Honor. And maybe Irsay saw all those guys back in the building and was like, man, I really miss when we had success like this, and brought up the one guy that probably mentioned that he wanted to be a head coach and then hired him. I mean, maybe that's what happened, but I hope the Colts have all the success in the world with Jeff Saturday, just because I think it's great to see a former player get a head coaching job, even if maybe some would write it off as white privilege, which I did see a lot on Twitter, because he's never even coached in the league, and he immediately just, his first coaching job in the league, head coach. Never seen it before, ever. Never has happened. Especially, as an interim coach. It's happened as a head coach, I believe, in the 80s. A former player retired, then got immediately hired to be the head coach of the team. But outside of that, it's never, ever happened. But I hope the Colts succeed, and I hope Jeff Saturday hopefully ends up with a new job if he can be successful. But I just don't see how it's going to happen. They need to lose as many games as possible to have a chance to land a franchise quarterback in Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or somebody else if they're there. And that would mean Jeff Saturday would have to fail. So, yeah. Moving on from that, though, it was upset weekend in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills, a team that many, including myself, thought were a team that were unbeatable. They had one loss coming into this game, but they looked like a team that was going to dominate everybody, including teams in their division, when fully healthy and playing with a lead. But this is a game where they weren't playing with a lead. This is a game where they were struggling mightily, and Josh Allen himself struggled on Sunday with 2 interceptions. He hurt his elbow on the final drive of this loss. And on the flip side of things, the Jets, a team that I don't think anybody expected to be 6-3, has a guy on their defensive side of the football in Sauce Gardner who can take over a game as a rookie corner. He plays at a Darrell Revis like level. I'm not going to say that we're going to have Sauce Island, but I could see that in the near future because, I mean, this was a stat line from the game on Sunday: 7 total tackles, which led the team, 1 pass deflection, and 1 interception. The ball's not getting thrown his way all that often because he is shutting guys completely out of the game and he's changing the game entirely. There's a lot of rookies that are playing really well. Not very many rookies are playing on the level that Sauce is playing at. And it does help that this defensive line for the Jets is also very, very good. But Sauce is the cornerstone piece of that defense, and he's only a rookie. This team is only going to grow because on the offensive side of the football, they have maybe one of the best rookie wide receivers in Garrett Wilson, who from the jump in that game was dominating the Buffalo Bills corner just at the line of scrimmage. And it showed in the stat sheet, and it showed with the way Zach Wilson was able to play because finally one of his wide receivers was able to really beat a corner off the line of scrimmage, and Zach Wilson played fantastic in this game and didn't have any turnover worthy throws and didn't throw an interception, which he has a few games where he hasn't really thrown a pick this year. He's played very well, but you wouldn't expect that because the New York media still crushes him on a very regular basis. But I was very impressed with the play of Zach Wilson and the Jets in this game, and they move on to 6-3. And it was a must-win game for them. This was a division game. 6-3. Buffalo Bills are 6-2. The Miami Dolphins are also 6-3. And the Patriots are 5-4. This is a division that is completely stacked. And the Jets are 2-1 in the division, which means they pretty much have I don't know if it's a deadlock. It's not a tie because the Buffalo Bills are 6-2. So record-wise, they're ahead. But the Buffalo Bills are 0-2 in the division. They've lost to the Dolphins and they've lost to the Jets now. And the 2 wins that the Jets have in the division are against Buffalo, Miami, and they lost to the Patriots. I believe that was last week in a very bad fashion. They lost to the Patriots in. But it's impressive. The AFC East is a force to be reckoned with, and it hasn't got the attention that the NFC East has gotten. The 2 divisions combined have the both best records in football in both the AFC and the NFC. It's very impressive. Nate, who do you feel like has the best chance of winning this division? And do you think there's a chance that all 4 teams from this division can make the playoffs?
Man, I wouldn't go as far to say all 4 teams are gonna make the playoffs. I think that's quite a stretch. But I get an echo. Is that just me? No, maybe a
But
little bit. No, we'll keep moving. But yeah, especially I think the Jets have a chance. I really do think the Jets have a chance in this division just because, Zach Wilson coming off the incident this past offseason, he's playing extremely well after that. And another person is on the market, and so he might even play extremely well afterwards. So, we'll just have to wait and see how his performance progresses. But have you seen that thing where somebody flipped a coin to start the season? And the coin is right so far. Like, he flips a coin for every win, and the coin is predicted every single game so far perfectly. And it has the Jets losing in the AFC Championship game. Look it up on Twitter if you want to, but the coin has predicted every single thing right so far. Um, and
wild enough, there's one of these like every year. There was one for the Raiders last year, and it was crazy.
I don't, but this one's like right, and I would never expected them to beat the Bills, and so I think they have a legit chance now. I think Sauce Gardner is playing exceptionally well. Garrett Wilson is playing well. Zach Wilson is getting better and better. So if I had to pick one, you know, the Bills are going to be good. They're going to be hard to beat in the playoffs. The Dolphins are a question mark right now. They started off hot. I don't really know exactly. Kind of struggled against the Bears. So I don't. I picked the Jets personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, and the 2021 quarterback class has played phenomenally. I mean, Zach Wilson, I almost talked about it last week. Like, I saw a lot of people talking about what happened to the 2021 quarterback class. I think that was last week or 2 weeks ago. And I thought that was maybe a bit of an overreaction because this is a lot of their second year in the league. But like I feel like Trevor Lawrence has played well this year. Zach Wilson has shown massive signs of growth. Mac Jones is really the only one that hasn't, because even Justin Fields, as of now, I mean, he's dominating every game he steps. Every time he steps on the field now, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's dominated every single week. Like,
The game has finally slowed down for him, I think now. If you remember that quote from the first week where he got pummeled, but it finally slowed down for him. And like he had a career game in rushing this season, this week, didn't he?
he had one of his best games of his entire career. This was a game they were supposed to lose by double digits in a lot of people's minds. Against the Miami, it was like they were playing the Miami Dolphins, and the Miami Dolphins have a fantastic offense. Everybody knows that because they have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But like they're not known. They were kind of known in the past for their defense, and they still have a good defense. But Justin Fields made their defense look really bad. Like he was throwing the ball well, and he's been running the ball at an extremely high pace and an extremely high level. Like a lot of people are comparing him to Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, and it's like, no, he has a completely different running style. Like he doesn't look like he's moving as fast as he is, but he had like a 60-yard run this past week where he was pulling away from corners and safeties with ease. Like I was shocked to see like they're empowering him to run the football. And in doing so, it's making the entire offense so much better because like you have to play the run now. You didn't have to play Justin Fields' run before. You're literally having to play his run now, which like is really opening up lanes for him downfield to Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney. And when Claypool gets in the mix and doesn't, put himself in situations where he's trying to go get a 50-50 jump ball in maybe a bad situation and, jump when he doesn't really need to. But like outside of that, like when Claypool figures out that mix, they have a team that is very good and definitely is better than quite a few other teams in the division. And two of those teams played this weekend, the Packers and the Lions. The Lions statistically have one of the worst defenses in the entire football league. Coming into this year, they have allowed 32.4 points 32.4 points is a lot of points to allow. But like that's statistically one of the worst in the league this year. In every game this year, they hadn't allowed any team to score fewer than 24 points. And the Packers on Sunday managed only 9 points versus them. It's the fifth straight loss for the Packers. This was a game the Packers last year and 2 years ago win by double-digit points. They destroy a Lions team that puts up 15 points versus the Packers in the previous few years was getting blown out 35-15, 42-15, 49-15 maybe. But this year, 15 points versus the Packers for the Lions, that's a dub. That's bad. That's bad on the Packers. And like Aaron Rodgers played awful. Aaron Rodgers played awful. 3 red zone interceptions. He's never done that in his career. There wasn't one single time that Rodgers has ever had 3 interceptions in the red zone ever. And he threw 3 yesterday. The Lions for the season had 2 interceptions total going into this game. They now have 5. They doubled their interception total in one game versus a quarterback that's supposed to be the greatest greatest arm talent quarterback of maybe all time. He's maybe not the most accomplished quarterback, but talent-wise, you could say he's one of the greatest of all time. And he had one of the worst performances versus statistically one of the worst defenses of maybe all time. Like they scored a touchdown. But like one touchdown's not good enough. Trying to throw a pass to your offensive tackle inside the 5-yard line does not scream to me an offense that is very confident in their playmakers at all. Romeo Dobbs, one of their rookie wide receivers, one of their best weapons on the team, out 4 to 6 weeks now with a high ankle sprain. The Packers are in a bad spot. And Nate, I know you don't necessarily like Aaron Rodgers. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, so this has sucked for me to see. But what do, what do you think is going to happen next for Aaron Rodgers and this Packers team?
So first of all, I do want to address why I do have a suit on. So I don't normally dress up for this. I do wear the glasses. That's because after the Cowboys win and all. But I dress up for two things. I dress up for funerals and people's downfalls. And we are watching Aaron Rodgers' downfall. And I am loving every single minute of it. I'm telling you. Aaron, if you are watching this, you probably aren't.
I
But
was going to say he's not.
he's not. Well, I mean, you never know though. After a game, after coming off LSD and stuff, like you get some deep dives into YouTube, and so maybe you found us, Aaron. So welcome to the show. But yeah, that was awful. Outside of the one terrible play call with the screen pass to the offensive lineman, those two other interceptions were your fault. I predicted this, what, 4 weeks ago, where we were talking about Tom Brady, and someone said, "Is he regressing? Is he out of his prime?" I said Aaron Rodgers is out of his prime, and you said I was crazy. 3 interceptions,
I still think you're crazy, but
3 interceptions, 1 touchdown against, one of the worst statistical defenses in
So
NFL history.
so do you think that Aaron Rodgers isn't the issue here? This is to Jared.
no. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the problem in Green Bay right now. I think their problem is they're terribly coached. I think there's quite a bit of issues in that offensive scheme. You have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon as running backs, and you don't use them at all.
The goal line too.
Yeah, the goal line issue is a problem for me. They don't really go under center at the goal line when they have AJ Dillon, a running back who's got thighs is maybe as big as Saquon Barkley, and that doesn't get talked about. AJ Dillon can run anybody in the NFL over if he wants to, and they hand the ball to him on average probably less than 10 times a game. Aaron Jones, a running back they've paid like, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of cash to, gets like 10 carries a game as well. I have him on fantasy. He's one of the most disappointing players this year in the entire freaking league. Maybe in just my fantasy league, just for me, because I traded for him and I traded quite a bit away to get him and Gabe Davis, and they've disappointed me since I've gotten them. So I've been frustrated. But Aaron Jones is a guy that should get the ball 25 times a game. AJ Dillon should get the ball 10 to 15 times a game, especially when your best wide receiver is Randall Cobb, who is not that good.
In the slot.
Yeah, he comes out of the slot. Alan Lazard's your best wide receiver outside. The Lizard King is your best weapon to throw the ball to outside. That's not good. Romeo Dobbs, your next best option after that, now out. So who are you going to throw to? Amari Rodgers? Robert Tonyan? Give the ball to Aaron Jones. Give the ball to A.J. Dillon. That's the problem. No matter what the score is, they're not doing that. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers, I've seen some people say that Aaron Rodgers is checking out of runs. Aaron Rodgers has said out loud multiple times, we need to put the ball in A.J. Dillon's hand and Aaron Jones's hand more than we do. And it hasn't happened yet. Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator for the Packers, also not very good. He was a defensive coordinator of the 0-16 Lions. And some people say that the Lions defense now, Lions fans say this, the Lions defense now isn't as bad as that defense was then. And the defense now is statistically one of the worst. And that's who the Packers decided to hire to call their defensive plays. They just lost Rashawn Gary. Devondre Campbell hasn't been playing, who's another one of their best defensive players. Jari Alexander has not been playing like the corner that he needs to be, mainly because the defensive line isn't forcing pressure because they let Zadarius Smith, or was it Preston Smith? One of the Smith boys plays for the Minnesota Vikings now, and he's like one of the top pass rushers in the league this year. And he was on the Packers last year, and they didn't want to pay him the money. And that, people say that's because they paid Aaron Rodgers $50 million this year. They didn't pay Aaron Rodgers $50 million this year. It's a 3-year contract with money pushed down the line. It's whatever. But Aaron Rodgers is not the problem, because if Aaron Rodgers was on that Tampa Bay team, he'd put up 30 points a game. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller. The list goes on of the weapons that they have down there. Cameron Brate, Cade Otton, Leonard Fournette, Rashad White. With those weapons, no doubt in my mind, Rodgers puts up 30 points a game. And Tom Brady's not doing that. Tom Brady has one of the worst offenses in the league. And almost lost yesterday, but didn't because he is Tom Brady and he is the GOAT. And he did have a great comeback drive. But with those weapons, Aaron Rodgers scores 30 points a game. And this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team might be dang near undefeated if Aaron Rodgers was their quarterback. But that's just how I feel on it. Tom Brady would not be successful with these wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers has. But if Tom Brady played for the Packers, he'd be at least dumping the ball off more to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So,
I mean, speaking of the Lions, I mean, I don't think Matt Stafford ever threw 3 interceptions in the game. Even with
he did.
Even with nobody on his team.
Oh, he did. I'm a closet Lions fan. Hate to admit that.
Closet.
Yeah, because I would never admit that out loud. I just kind of did, but like, I followed the Lions for years because I loved Megatron. I loved Stafford, and then for whatever reason, I just always feel bad for them because they're just so bad. Every Thanksgiving, you're forced to watch them. So why wouldn't I want to like them? Because they're literally forced down my throat at least once a year. I don't go out of my way to watch Lions football because I don't like to hurt myself more than I already do when I watch the Steelers play. So, with that being said,
The Lions are like a guilty pleasure. It's
not
like you don't,
really. It's not even a guilty pleasure. It's not even a guilty pleasure. I feel guilt watching the Lions play football.
Don't you ever say that about Detroit. Detroit sucks. I'm sorry, but Detroit is not a pleasure, my friend.
Well, no, you only go to it like once a year. You get what you get out of it. You feel real bad for them, and then it's just like, if they were ever to be successful, you'd be rooting for them. Just because
I root for them weekly, like quietly.
Yeah.
But like, I just root for them to cover every week because they're normally double-digit underdogs. That's how bad they are.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Covered this week.
it's a problem. They covered. They won. They weren't supposed to win. It would have been a very Lions thing to blow that lead, but they didn't. And good for them. But move on from the Lions, move on from the Packers. There's just some inept issues with the Packers that they're not going to figure out this year. They're not going to figure it out this year. And Rodgers is going to be gone because of it. And they're not going to figure out with Jordan Love either. It's probably going to be worse for Jordan Love. And Jordan, I feel bad for you. You're put in an awful situation. This is his third year in the league, I do believe. Yeah, third year in the league. He'll be a fourth year, former first-round pick, probably being a full-time starter next year. And by week 4, week 5 next year, for Jordan Love, people are going to be talking about the future of Green Bay Packers without Jordan Love. Because he's just been put in that bad of a situation because the weapons they have, not that good.
I'm going to be singing for Arch at that point.
Honestly, they might be. Well, they might be. Because they're going to be bad for a few years, I think. Probably LaFleur. It's going to cost LaFleur his job. It's going to cost Jordan Love his job. Not that I think that he's that good anyways, but he's at least slightly talented. But either way, speaking of a quarterback that's extremely talented, was that Jordan Love was supposed to be Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes had a great win on Sunday Night Football over the Tennessee Titans. Now, Ryan Tannehill was inactive for the second week in a row. So going in, I knew it was going to be a very slow-paced game because of the fact that Malik Willis was the starting quarterback. And Malik Willis, as much as people would have liked to say it in the spring, not a good quarterback. He went 5 of 16 on Sunday Night Football in his first primetime start. I would assume probably he's talented. Not going to like diss on him. But a lot of people were saying Steelers should have drafted Malik Willis at 20. I'm glad they didn't because that's not a guy that's a first-round talent, Malik Willis. You don't go 5 of 16 as a first-round talent. I understand the Titans have no wide receivers and no weapons outside of Derrick Henry. But, I mean, I don't know. I think Logan Woodside, their third-string quarterback or former backup quarterback, probably could have gone better than 5 of 16 for like 50 something yards if he really wanted to. He didn't have to because he's not playing, but he could have if he was on the roster. And Malik Willis brings a lot to the run game, but Derrick Henry was going to get the ball a lot, and everyone knew that going in. And the Chiefs still couldn't stop Derrick Henry. 2 touchdowns again in this game. But it's not enough against the MVP candidate Patrick Mahomes, who threw 68 passes. 68 passes. That never happens in the league. 68 passes. The last time I can think of any quarterback that I have ever watched on TV throwing 68 passes would have been Deshaun Watson and Nathan Peterman in a battle of Clemson and Pitt when Clemson was upset by the Pitt Panthers, who at the time were very, very bad at football and just very average, but good for one upset a year. They both threw, I think, 70 passes in that game. That's college football, though. That's not the NFL. 3 shy of the NFL record for attempts in a game. He completed 40 of those attempts. 40, I think it was like 43 of those attempts. I'm pulling up his stats for this game right now. He had 400 plus yards in that game. And they won in overtime. And he just marched them right down the field when he needed to and made plays when he needed to. Why did he do this? Because he has weapons around him. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's Patrick Mahomes. Like, when you say that guy's name, you think greatness immediately. And he's been in the league 5, 6 years, 7 years. And you immediately, when you say his name, you think greatness. It's Patrick Mahomes. Like, you automatically think Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill is the 2 names you think of synonymous with him. But no more, really. Like, there's not many other weapons you think of when you think of Mahomes. He threw for 446 yards. He only had 1 touchdown, but this was a low-scoring affair of like 20-17 in overtime. He also had 63 yards rushing, which we don't see that out of Mahomes all that often. But he had to run the ball because, like nobody else was going to run the ball. He was their leading rusher in attempts and yards because they didn't want to run the ball. Obviously they threw the ball 68 times. They had 19 rushing attempts in that game, and 6 of them came from Mahomes. He had a rushing touchdown as well. Like, he played out of his mind, and he has to be by far the runaway favorite for MVP because there's no one else that close. Speaking of a guy, though, that could be an MVP candidate, and he's been mentioned as a guy that a lot of people didn't think could throw the deep ball, Tua Tagovailoa. Miami got a great win this weekend versus the Chicago Bears, a game that was much closer than people expected it to be. But the Dolphins played really well. They had a few calls go their way. I mentioned earlier the Chase Claypool call. A lot of people said that was maybe a pass interference. A lot of Bears fans not happy with that call. Understandable. Let's walk through that play just based on what I remember when I watched it. So Chase Claypool, supposed to be a wide receiver that's good at 50-50 balls, right? I watched him play on the Steelers for a few years. This guy's not good at catching 50-50 balls. Bears fans, I apologize. You're going to get the full Chase Claypool experience. Chase Claypool, when he wants to catch a 50-50 ball that he could go up and catch with his hands, he won't do that. He's going to jump and try to catch it at his waist, which makes no sense because as a wide receiver, you're supposed to catch the ball with your hands right up here. If you want to high point a ball, you high point a ball. You don't go to high point a ball and then catch it at your waist. He does that often. Way too much for a wide receiver of his size and skill level. And he did that on that play. It almost looked like the Dolphins' corner maybe grabbed him to try to keep him down so that he wouldn't jump because he was trying to maybe help Claypool out. Like, don't do this. You don't have to. You can actually just reach up with your arms and probably catch his ball. He didn't. Don't know why he wouldn't do that. But that's Chase Claypool for you. Talented wide receiver. Maybe doesn't know how to run a fade. And maybe doesn't know how to get a jump ball. Kenny Pickett's like 2nd interception of the year or first interception of his career actually came on a Chase Claypool 50-50 ball when he tried to do the same exact thing. And that's why a 5'8" corner got the interception over a 6'3", 6'4" Chase Claypool. But Miami won the game. And that call didn't matter because they had a chance the next play, the Bears did, to convert on a 4th and 10. They did not. And they lose the game because of it. But Justhim Fields is really the story of this game. Tua played fantastic. Tua played out of his mind again this week. But the story of that game was Justhim Fields. Justhim Fields is what a lot of Bears fans are starting to call him at this point because he's just that guy. If we could get this Google slide pulled up here. Over the last few weeks, the Bears offense has been phenomenal. Weeks 1 through 6, they scored 93 points total. Weeks 7 through 9, 94 points. The Bears in the last 3 games have played the Patriots, Cowboys, and Dolphins, 3 defenses that are supposed to be really talented. Cowboys, one of the best defenses in the league. Patriots, that's Bill Belichick. You don't want to mess with Bill Belichick. Dolphins, this year the defense not really been that great. But the Bears' stat lines over those games, 243 rushing yards and 33 points versus New England. 240 rushing yards and 29 points versus Dallas. 252 rushing yards and 32 points versus Miami. They're playing very, very good football. And with Justhim Fields, the way he's progressing, the way he's running the football, we mentioned it earlier. He's playing out of his mind. This Bears team looks really good. He's easily the future of the Bears franchise, and that's something the Bears haven't been able to say in a very, very, very long time. It's very impressive. I've been very impressed with Justhim Fields, and they have $100 million in cap space coming up just next year. That is a ridiculous amount of cap space for a team that young and with a chance to go. They're not going to figure it out this year. The NFC is weak, and if they keep playing like this, they can maybe, if they find a couple wins, which I think they can find against Green Bay and even the Lions, they can maybe find their way into the playoffs but the NFC East is really good, so that'd be hard to do. And the NFC West is really good, so that'd be hard to do. Well, they're not that good. Seattle's good, but the rest of the NFC West, I retract that statement. The rest of the NFC West kind of stinks outside of San Francisco and Seattle.
Yeah.
So right there, it's an uphill battle this year for the Bears, but I think they're actually going to be better than the Packers are for the rest of the season this far. I mean, we're halfway through the season, but I think they're going to be better than the Packers the rest of the way. Moving on from that, though, Tom Brady broke a record that I don't think we're ever going to see again. He threw for 100,000 passing yards in his career yesterday. That was a milestone that I don't think anybody ever thought would have been reached. 100,000 yards. It was a comeback win versus the Rams. He did it in Brady fashion. He broke the record on a dump-off pass to a running back out of the backfield in Leonard Fournette. The most Brady move of all time, the dump-off, is how he breaks the record. What a great story that is in itself. And then in that same game, as he breaks the record, and just recently coming off the news we found out about from his last game versus the Ravens, just after that game when they played terribly, and then his divorce is finalized. And we wonder, is Brady dead? And the majority of this game, Brady did look dead. And then 44 seconds was left on the clock. They were losing by 4 to defending, reigning Super Bowl champions. And Tom Brady became Tom Brady again. The Bucs offense hadn't scored a touchdown all day. 3 field goals in that game. And when the Bucs needed it most, 4 straight completions, a defensive pass interference, and then a touchdown to rookie tight end Cade Otton with under 10 seconds to play. The Rams had not allowed a touchdown. The Rams defense had not allowed a touchdown in that game for 59 minutes and 50 seconds. That's a game the Rams should win. You don't allow a touchdown for 59 minutes and 50 seconds of gameplay, of time of possession, and then a touchdown at the end wins it. I can understand them being frustrated. I can understand the Rams defense being mad and literally calling out the offense after the game was over. But let's acknowledge greatness here. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Tom Brady can do this every week if he really wanted to. And this is my question for you guys. Is this the turning point for the Buccaneers and Brady? Or is the LA Rams just that bad? Like, the Rams, former Super Bowl champs, they're bad, though. They're not a good team. And it hasn't been good all year. Are they that bad?
I wouldn't say they're that bad. I think they did a pretty good job against Dallas when I watched them. I mean, I don't follow the Rams a whole lot because we're over in Florida, so I don't really get that stuff anymore. But honestly, I think this is just more of the turning point for the Bucks. You don't allow a touchdown. You said for 59 minutes and 50 seconds, right?
Yep.
And like that's just a testament to your team of how good you were playing. You only allowed 3 field goals. Like bend don't break. That's good defense in this NFL. But yeah, Tom Brady's back, which is good, especially since his division sucks. So I think this is just more of a turning point for the Bucks rather than the Rams being bad. But the Rams are not as good as they were. I will say that. They're not as good as they were, but they're not bad. Like I don't think they allowed that touchdown because they were bad. They allowed the touchdown because Tom Brady's just great. That's just greatness that we saw. I mean, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. So
Like, that's how I feel as well. The worst part of the entire situation is that the Rams offense is just abysmal. Well, I mean, this is the team that's supposed to be like offensively every year. I mean, Sean McVay, kid wonder pretty much with the offense. Like, he is the guy that pretty much a lot of head coaches in the NFL were hired because they have a connection with him. Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, like a lot of other. Yeah. And Matt LaFleur, a lot of people question it when he got hired, but Zach Taylor, same thing. But a connection with McVay pretty much got him the job. Raheem Morris, I do believe, coached under him, and Brandon Staley also coached under him. So a lot of head coaches in this league, or coordinators, for that matter of fact, have coached with McVay. And for whatever reason, that offense this year is bottom 10. And they have Cooper Kupp. They have Matthew Stafford. They have Allen Robinson. They have weapons. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked. And the NFL's been backwards all year, it feels like. I mean, the Jets are good this year. That never happens. The Giants are good this year.
Packers suck.
That never happens. Packers are bad. That sometimes happens, I guess. But like, when do you see two New York football teams in the Giants and the Jets be good at the same time? Hasn't happened in probably a decade plus or longer for that fact. Like, Tom Brady's bad. That hasn't happened ever. Like, that tells you how much is just weird about this year and off. But the Bucks just shouldn't be this bad. But the LA Rams specifically shouldn't be this bad. They should have won that game. And the offense put in. They did not call a single aggressive play. Went 3 and out, and then gave Brady the ball back and said, "You're not going to win," pretty much. And he did. Did you have something to say about Brady?
I mean, I was just gonna say with all like the divorce stuff finalized and all that relationship crap that he was going through over with, maybe he actually has time to kind of focus on what's most important to him. And that's kind of showing itself in the game. I don't know.
Maybe he's finally able to close that chapter out. Is I think kind of what you're getting to.
Yeah.
And like he can finally rest almost. It sounds bad, but like he can finally move on.
He's back to his true home, and that is the field.
I mean, he pretty much told that to his family as well when he came back. And some people have been talking aggressively, actually, about maybe why he came back this year. And I don't think I've broached this to Tyler, but I've mentioned it to Nate. He has a $375 million contract with Fox. Would you want that to come up in the divorce? That contract technically hasn't gone through officially yet. Well, I mean, it has gone through officially, but he's not going to receive any of that money, and that contract doesn't start until he officially retires.
Well,
and decides to, actually call games for Fox. So until then, $375 million isn't his until he starts earning it. And in a divorce settlement,
they had a prenup.
they had a prenup.
Yeah, they had a
All right,
prenup.
so then
They had a
everybody that's talking about that, and me especially,
Yeah, no,
we're all dumb.
they had a lock.
I assumed Brady being,
Yeah.
I assumed there's no way.
No, I saw an article, earlier this week, I think, or maybe last week, and it was like, yeah, they've got like a airtight prenup that they had already had set up. So, like, the divorce stuff was not going hard, like, at all. And he was already worth hundreds of millions. So,
And so is she. She's
Yeah.
actually worth more than he is, net worth wise.
wait, really?
Yeah, people forget that actually. She's like, I think $100 million more than him, net worth wise on Google. Not that that's accurate.
One of the most
But-
beautiful women in the world, like model before she even met this guy. Like she was something before Tom Brady, And Tom
Yeah.
Brady hasn't even received that many good contracts. Like he's been taking pay cuts almost. Like he wasn't the highest paid quarterback in the NFL
Well, yeah,
for
yeah.
the longest time. And so like in Tampa Bay, he's finally getting some good contracts. So he hasn't even got all the money that he's been deserved.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Jared is checking the net worth.
So Tom Brady's net worth.
Tom Brady's net worth is
All right, I unmuted myself, so we're good. I'm dumb. Tom Brady's net worth is, according to Google, $250 million. And then Giselle's net worth, according to Google, is $400 million. So that makes sense that they would have a airtight prenup. So just to ignore that completely, and we'll just get into the next thing. Massive money is how I'll lead this off. And that's the Washington Commanders. As an organization, they're worth a lot of money, and they're probably going to be sold. On the Fox pre-show, it was mentioned that the Washington Commanders franchise is expected to sell for as much as $7 billion, and the sale is expected to take place within the next 6 months or so. Daniel Snyder's a scumbag. We all know this. Nobody likes Daniel Snyder. Can't think of a person outside of his wife that maybe does.
I know. But
Maybe there is some people that like Daniel Snyder. I don't know a single Washington fan that does, unless they're racist white. Not to call them out personally.
It's Capitol Hill, bro. I mean,
Also that. $7 billion, though, is a lot of money. Not many people can fork over $7 billion. But, that being said, there is a partnership group that would be pretty awesome to own a team that's forming. Jeff Bezos, Jay-Z, and recently just throwing his hat into the ring with that partnership group is Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey.
Those three as a trio owning a team would be absolutely awesome.
That's a massive like stud trio right there.
that is, but to be honest with you, that's one of the weirdest trios that I've ever heard of.
Jeff Bezos, Jay-Z, and Matthew McConaughey. Like, how much more like
Awesome could you get?
yeah, that's a very sick combination of three people. I mean, Jeff Bezos could buy it all by himself, but like
Yeah, I was
having
gonna
worked-
say very generous of Jeff Bezos.
yeah,
to-
he's like, oh, I'll bring along. And ethnicity and
But to be honest with you, I wouldn't buy them for $7 billion.
no
The
shot.
Commander, like if I had the money, I still wouldn't buy the Commanders. Respectfully,
Elon Musk could have bought the Commanders 6 times over for the price he paid for Twitter with $7 billion.
Yeah, but he really wanted Twitter.
Yeah, well, an NFL team or a social media app that's dying.
Well, it's only dying
Which
after
one do
he
you
bought
want? It was dying before he bought it. It's not a growing app. It's always been an app where less and less people use it. And then, people get kicked off of the app and then less and less people use it because their favorite person gets kicked off the app.
Okay, yeah.
Not saying anybody in particular because I'm not going to get into the political world, but I know a lot of people that stopped using it after a certain person got kicked off. Not going to say who that person is. They may have red hair and may look like a Cheeto, but
I think talking about the guy with no hair.
the guy with no hair, Alex Jones,
Oh, that guy.
won't say his name, won't speak it into existence. Don't want to get kicked off the internet for even saying it. What'd you say?
You saying that on YouTube?
I
Hold
didn't
on.
finish the name. I didn't finish the name. Alex, and you take a guess. He's broke though, in case you were wondering. And he owes a lot of money to a lot of people. But let's get away from that talk. Let's get into something more fun.
Yeah.
Hey, hold
Let's
on.
get into-
Plug your video.
Oh yeah, I forgot to plug my own video. Later this week, I will be dropping a Daniel Snyder pretty much inside look because I'm going deep into Daniel Snyder and him being a scumbag pretty much, and like all the issues that have led to him selling the team. Thank you to Nate for reminding me that I'm even recording that video later this week and editing it and putting it out. So shout out Nate for being a good co-host for reminding me of that. But make sure to check that out when I drop it. But moving on from that, Odell Beckham is rumored to be cleared this week. And the biggest question is, where will he sign? About a week ago, I don't know, is this a week ago or is this last year CBS Sports put this out?
I don't know.
Who cares? It's a great tweet because it's a list of 10 teams where he could possibly go. 10 contenders. Well, not really contenders because not everybody on that list is a contender. They're just teams that need a weapon. There's probably 4 teams on there you could knock out immediately because there's not a chance he'd even consider them. Colts is definitely a team he wouldn't consider. But that being said, there's quite a few good teams on there. Quite a real true contenders. And the teams I've heard that he's rumored to go to are the Cowboys, the Bills, the Rams could really use him. And, even a team like the Chiefs, adding him into the mix would be absolutely insane. With that being said, where do you guys think he's going to end up? We'll make some predictions. And Nate, I know where you're going to say, so we'll start with you.
Everybody wants to play for the star, man. America's team. Everybody wants to play for America's team. I don't really care who you are. If you've been watching football as a child, you watch the Dallas Cowboys because the Dallas Cowboys, America's team for America's sport, America's pastime. Sorry, baseball. I don't know how you got that title, but it's just wrong. Football is America's pastime, and America's team is the Dallas Cowboys. So, yes, everybody wants to play for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, what's his face? Earl Thomas wanted to play for the Cowboys, but he had personal issues that we won't go into on this show that stopped him from being in the NFL completely. But Odell Beckham, definitely, we would love to have Odell Beckham. Even if we don't get Odell Beckham, though, we're still gonna lift up that Lombardi. So it doesn't matter. With or without Odell, Cowboys still win. Odell, if you want another ring, hop on the bus. We'll get you another ring, bro. That's my prediction.
I think Dallas would be an awesome landing spot. I think there's other teams that could really benefit from him. I think the Packers would benefit greatly from him, but why would he go there? This isn't a competitor. The Rams could really use another wide receiver. It feels like their offense is lacking something, and maybe it's Odell. But why would he want to go there? They're not good. They're terrible. So that leaves a few people. The Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Odell as a trio would be completely unstoppable. But why would he go there? He wouldn't fit in the mix. We'll look at the Chiefs. Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, Kadarius Toney. There's a lot of talented wide receivers there. But then again, there's not anybody that's really a true number one. Odell's a one. But I wouldn't go to Kansas City. I'd go home. Why not, Odell? They need a wide receiver. They don't have a true number one. They pay a guy a lot of money. He doesn't touch the field.
No,
They drafted a guy really high. He's really okay, but he's a 2. Why wouldn't you, when they're good, go back to where your career started, where you were the best you ever were? Why wouldn't you try to help your former team and the team that helped build you and the player you are today win a Super Bowl? Why wouldn't you go back to the New York Giants? I don't understand why he wouldn't. And that's my prediction. The New York Giants feel like the team that he would go to. They can run the ball. They have a decent quarterback, and I think they're a contender. And I think they'd be willing to pay him decent money as well. So that's my prediction. I think he's going to the New York Giants. Tyler, where do you think Odell Beckham is going to go?
Honestly, I was thinking very like along the same lines. Honestly, like he's not coming. He's not coming to the Ravens. As much as I would like him to come to us, he's not coming to us. We already have a franchise guy in Lamar, and like as much as we're pushing that, we have
Lamar's not known for throwing the football.
Yeah, no, he's not. So it wouldn't really be a great match for us anyway. And I mean, we already have too many high-paying, like Roquan Smith, Lamar,
Guys, you're going to have to pay a lot of money to.
like yeah. But I don't really think we need another one in him. I just don't think he'd fit in well with like our offensive like coordination and how we usually play the ball. Yeah, I really agree with your like analysis of why why he would go back to the Giants. I think they have a much better shot with him and make them much more dangerous going forward. So yeah, I definitely see him like just going back to the place he has history with.
The team that wouldn't shock me, though, the 49ers somehow coming out of left field and picking up Odell Beckham and putting him into that mix of players they already have would be terrifying. Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Odell Beckham on the same roster. Terrifying. Another really good fit. Bengals. They have some money. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Odell Beckham. What a foursome of wide receivers you would have. There's a lot of teams that are going to come calling for Odell Beckham, but I really hope he returns home for the Giants. I would love to see it more than anything else in the world. Not because I want to see the Cowboys crumble and just suffer this year. Not because I don't want that to happen for Nate. I wish Nate nothing but happiness.
I promise you they won't. I'm telling you.
I believe it. Like I said last week, I feel like they're destined to go to the NFC Championship game. I honestly genuinely believe that. Because I feel like this Dallas team, the floor is the Super Bowl this year. That is their floor. Like I feel like they have a legit shot to go to the Super Bowl. I just don't know if they will. Because I still don't necessarily believe in their coaching. You, on the other hand, believe they are Super Bowl champs. You are sometimes a delusional Cowboys fan. No?
I believe facts, man. Dallas Cowboys fans believe in facts. We don't believe in science or analytics. We believe facts. The facts are we have dogs. Doesn't matter who's holding the leash. It doesn't matter who's holding the leash. It's a dog. The dog's gonna do what a dog does. So yes, that's the Dallas Cowboys. And it doesn't matter who's in their way either. You know. So Eagles, it's a bird. What does a dog do with a bird? He eats it. So I mean, if we really want to get into something, the only decent team the Eagles have beaten is the Cowboys with a backup quarterback. So if we want to go back to the undefeated Steelers, I mean, Eagles, I'd say they're pretty good, but if we want to go back to the undefeated Steelers didn't beat nobody. and they were like 11-0 for the longest time. I'm just saying, a collapse might come for Philly. Kind of always does, but I'm gonna save that. I expect Philly Dallas NFC Championship, but I would not be surprised if there's a collapse before that.
It'll be intriguing to see, but I'm excited for that. Moving on real quick, we're going to jump into our NFL midseason awards. We'll keep this very short. We will keep the midseason awards very short. So for the first midseason award of this is the first segment we'll ever do of the midseason awards for the Jared Barnes Show. First Jared Barnes Show midseason awards. These are awards that absolutely mean nothing, but at the end of the season, we'll see if we were right with our midseason picks. So for MVP, I have Patrick Mahomes. I just don't think anybody else can beat MVP. Nate, who is your midseason MVP?
Geno Smith.
Completely valid. Geno's a dog. Geno's a dog. Tyler, midseason MVP. Hit it. Tyler,
Like,
unprepared for this segment.
my bad.
You all good.
We kind of had like today to kind of look at this, and I completely forgot about this part.
Just go completely biased on us, Tyler. Just say who you're really thinking.
Completely biased.
Just
Just
well, we know who you're thinking unbiasedly, but even with a bias, you're thinking the same guy. We're not dumb. You're thinking Lamar Jackson.
no, I wasn't thinking Lamar Jackson.
I'm shocked.
He's been single-handedly throwing us games this entire season.
Whoa.
The times we've lost, it is his fault.
You might be right.
I might be. It is. I am right, dude. I can watch those games. But MVP. I don't know, man. Tua has been popping off. Okay, Tua actually has been popping off. Like when they play, are they still undefeated when he plays?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been like for the expectations to what he's actually doing right now. I think he has done exceptionally well so far this season.
That is fair. Moving on from MVP, though, we will go to the Defensive Player of the Year. Tyler, should I come back to you?
I'm just gonna say this preemptively. It's gonna be Roquan Smith.
Okay, so Defensive Player of the Year for Tyler, Roquan Smith. Very easily. He threw out a prediction. My Defensive Player of the Year, probably the same as Nate's. Micah Parsons.
Next question.
All right. Coach of the Year for our midseason awards. My Coach of the Year, probably maybe a little shocking to everybody in the room. I didn't think I'd go this way midseason because they don't even have the best record, but Mike McCarthy. I don't see how you don't pick him as Coach of the Year with what he did this year for the Cowboys. With losing Dak Prescott, having that good of a record, and then that coming back and them still being really, really good. Like, I don't see how it's not Mike McCarthy. Nate, your pick.
McCarthy there, but I got to give credit where credit is due. Nick Sirianni, you are the only Eagle I will ever give this title to, but you are a dog, respectfully. I think he deserves Coach of the Year. He's been great this year. And so I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. I think Nick Sirianni deserves Coach of the Year. Mike McCarthy's good. Nick Sirianni's just a little bit better.
That is completely fair. Tyler, do you have a Coach of the Year candidate in your mind?
I'll say Harborough.
What?
Or Harborough.
Harbaugh?
Harborough, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
Now Harbaugh's throwing games as well.
No, I wasn't gonna say Harbaugh. I was gonna say another kind of up and coming guy that kind of had to prove himself this season, which again happens to be with the Dolphins, but is Mike McDaniels. He has done again, just as like a theme for the Dolphins this season is just like people are exceeding expectations massively, and both him and Tua working together, or like, and his coaching style just in general has been very successful so far for the Dolphins. So I'm just gonna say Mike McDaniels.
He's awesome in the media as well. So having him as the Coach of the Year is not as good as he's been. I mean, the only games he's really lost is when Tua's not playing quarterback. So been very good. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm gonna go. Garrett Wilson of the Jets. I mean, Chris Olave. It's either Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, or you could even go Dameon Pierce from Houston. All three of those guys have been fantastic, but I feel like Garrett Wilson for the Jets has just been a game changer. So I'm going Garrett Wilson. There's not really a lot of good choices for this pick, to be honest with you.
No, I completely agree with you there, honestly.
I like Chris Olave just a little bit better. I think I'm a huge fan of Chris Olave. Garrett Wilson's good. I think Chris Olave is just a little step above. So, I mean, not too far off though.
Both Ohio State wide receivers and teammates at Ohio State. So that tells you how dominant that room was.
Yeah.
Like at Ohio State. Defensive rookie of the year. I got to go Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
It's either Tyreek Wooden, the corner from Seattle, or Sauce Gardner, in my opinion. Sauce, a first-round pick, was supposed to be this good, so I have to go Sauce because he's literally a game changer. But Wooden, Tyreek Wooden, also dominant. So I'm going to go Sauce Gardner as my defensive rookie of the year. I feel like we're all on the same page. Yeah, I assume so. So with that being said, the most disappointing team, I feel like we're going to get some interesting responses here. I knew the Steelers were going to be bad coming into the season. I just had a delusional feeling that they wouldn't be because I have to be that kind of a fan. So I'm not even going to put them as the most disappointing team. In my mind, the most disappointing team easily has to be the Indianapolis Colts. By far. They've already fired their head coach. Like, they were supposed to be, in my mind, I thought they were winning the division. And they're worst team in their division, probably. And they have Houston in their division. And that might be the worst team in the division. And they have the highest paid offensive line. I can't talk about it enough. I think the Colts suck. They're the most disappointing team by far in all of football. Nate, who's your most disappointing team in football?
I say Oakland. I think Oakland, when they got Devontae Adams, I mean,
Vegas.
Sorry, Vegas.
Yeah, I do the same thing all the time.
Man, that sucks, man. Not as cool as it was in Oakland. No, it's not the same. But I mean, whatever. The Vegas Raiders, whatever. But Vegas, like, I was expecting them to win their division. Honestly, I thought, the Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill. The Chargers were talented, but they're still the Chargers. They share a stadium, and like they were played for the Galaxy Field, like so they're not great. And then the Broncos, I wasn't expecting them to be that great either. I mean, you just add Russell Wilson, not much of a game changer. So I thought the Raiders were gonna win their division. I thought they were very talented. They got that guy from the Cardinals too, the linebacker. What's his name?
Chandler Jones. I almost said Hassan Reddick.
Yeah,
but that was a former Cardinal that, for whatever reason, was on my mind. Chandler Jones has not been good at all. And it's the Raiders have just been disappointing. Adams has played spotty, but Derek Carr has just been flat out bad.
Yeah.
And like they haven't got any production out of Waller, who's been really hurt. So like they have been very disappointing. You are correct. I mean, you are 100% spot on with that one. I honestly I thought about going with them, but this Colts, in my mind, they're a team I have loved for years, and just for whatever reason this year they suck. So that's why I went Colts. Tyler, who's your most disappointed team for this year?
I was just gonna go with just like I guess the Buccaneers. Like having one of, if not the most famous quarterback,
greatest quarterback of all time,
and greatest quarterback of all times on their team to suck butt as badly as they have sucked butt this season is kind of sad, but also I'm one of those people that watches what's his face for him to lose. So what's his the quarterback for the Buccaneers.
Tom Brady.
Yes.
You want him to lose, but then again,
I'm one of those people that watches him so he loses. Because that's just how I've kind of just grown, like watching him, I guess. I've always wanted him to lose. He was always winning whenever I'd watch him. So like it's just like, oh, he's finally on his downfall. Or
on the same train of thought, honorable mention to the Packers. I wasn't expecting them to be that bad, but I love to see Aaron Rodgers lose.
Mm-hmm.
Better. The league is better when Aaron Rodgers loses.
Balance.
You're wrong, but that's okay.
Balance has been restored to the force.
I wake up super early just to hate on people, man. It's 24/7, full-time job.
So with that being said, like most disappointing player. I mean, it's either Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers,
It's
correct?
Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady.
My mind, it's Aaron Rodgers, but because I was expecting him to be at least a
No,
little
it's
better.
Tom Brady.
The MVP of most disappointing player of the season. So the NMDP, most disappointing player.
It's definitely.
You going with Tom Brady? I go with Aaron
Tom
Rodgers.
Brady.
Or you literally just went on a whole spiel about how Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the weapons.
Yeah, but he still should produce something, and he
Yeah,
hasn't
but
done that.
when he doesn't have like the weapons, whereas like Tom Brady has something and is still turning out absolutely nothing. Like, I don't know. And we're saying that he's the greatest of all time. I just don't see how he's not performing worse in that situation.
It's because I got that recent comeback drive on my mind. It's hard for me to like look at that comeback drive and be like, he's disappointing because like, guy just got to win. Aaron Rodgers just lost to the freaking Lions.
He's had one win. He's had one good thing happen this entire season, and now you're just like, oh, I guess.
I am. I'm very biased like that. Rodgers just lost to the worst defense in the league. How's that not disappointing? It's extremely disappointing.
Yeah.
Who's your most disappointing player, Nate?
I still have to go Tom Brady. I mean, like even so, like he has all the weapons. Like I expect him to be decent. I expect him to be atop of that division, especially like by a large margin. You have what Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's a god, but I don't expect him to be that amazing. Even though he's been hurt most of the season. What is it? Jameis Winston. Who are the other? Marcus Mariota. Like he's second in that division.
PJ Walker is the other quarterback in that division.
XFL quarterback, and like you have those three guys, and you're not winning that division by a wide margin. I'd say that's a failure of a season for the greatest of all time with all the weapons. Like Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the weapons, even though he does suck right now, and he's on the crescent of his career. He is waning,
I don't think that's correct, but
downfall. I predicted it 4 weeks ago, and this is just the fruits of my prediction.
we'll see next year when he's somewhere else with actual talent. And it,
Like
maybe
Russell Wilson.
Nah, he's not on that level. Russ was actually bad. I think Rodgers just. Yeah, I think Rodgers doesn't have the weapons. But we'll move on. We have a GOAT debate to get to. Do you care?
Skip my basketball.
We're going to skip Nate's basketball because of time issues. We have a GOAT debate to get to. With that being said, we will jump right to it. It's an age-old question. Who is the greatest basketball player of all time? A lot of people say Michael Jordan. I hear a lot of people say Kobe Bryant. A lot of younger people say LeBron James. I am one of those younger people. I believe LeBron James is the greatest basketball player to step foot on planet Earth, and we are lucky to grace his presence and that he ever played in the NBA. We are lucky that we get to watch him night in and night out. Now, he might be on the downhill decline now. Let's wipe that from our memory. Let's think back to 2007 when he had 0 All-Stars on his team and he carried the Cavs to the finals. Let's think back to 2018 when he had 0 All-Stars on his team and with ease went on one of the greatest runs of all time, only to run into one of the greatest super teams ever formed. Because of him, that super team was formed, not because of anybody else. They needed Kevin Durant on the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green to beat one man in LeBron James. LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. And I'll let you two yell at me for the next 10 minutes. You won't convince me. Okay? LeBron James, we're lucky to have seen him play. And that's what I have to say for now. Wait till I hit you with some stats though.
6 and what? 6 and what?
Doesn't matter.
4 and what?
Doesn't matter.
4 and what? If we're talking about greatness, greatness is totally different than the best player of all time. If we're talking about the most talented player of all time, Allen Iverson's probably one. Will Chamberlain is up there. I mean, Tracy McGrady, like some of these other guys are going to be up there, where like they're not even near people's top 10 list. I mean, Michael Jordan is very, very talented. Like he would be high up on that list. My LeBron is talented too, but he has one move in his arsenal. Move out my way. Move out my way. Flop, fade away. That's his move. Or he dishes it out to a shooter on the 3-point line. Like LeBron, and then 4 and 6, he's been to 10 finals. Which, that's a great accomplishment. The East was weak. You put me in a room full of 5-year-olds, I'm gonna beat 6 of them. I'm gonna beat 6 of them. 10 might be overwhelming, but like when you put me against a weak competition, like everyone complains about Jordan not facing all the All-Stars in the finals. Name me all the All-Stars that LeBron had to face on his way to the final. There was no other team in the East that was challenging LeBron. You can't name me a team in the East that was challenging LeBron. Like it was just the Cavs. Like the Toronto Raptors, I mean, he had his number.
That's a weak argument because that's what people say because LeBron was just that dominant.
No.
He was making you think that these people were bad at basketball because he was just so much better. We were watching such a high quality of basketball with LeBron James. We forgot what other good basketball looked like.
There was a list of the top 50 players in the NBA, and 2 of them were in the East. And it was Kyrie Irving and LeBron James when they both played for the Cavs. In 2018, there was a top 50 list. The best 2 players in the East. The only 2 players on that list from the East.
Kyrie was on the Celtics in 2018. So
was it 2018?
That was probably 2017. But still, my point proven. Even without Kyrie Irving in 2018, he had to completely at the trade deadline of 2018 rebuild his roster.
Because Lee GM screwed up.
Well, that wasn't on him. He didn't know. There's no way he could have predicted that those guys wouldn't have performed to the level he needed them to. Listen, LeBron carried them as much as he could, but he had to move on from them. And then he went to the finals on a run unlike we've ever seen. 2018 LeBron was maybe one of the greatest single seasons in NBA history.
I will agree with you. That was a great season.
But you want to argue for Jordan, correct?
I'm arguing for Jordan.
Okay. So statistically, LeBron James, let's be honest, he's a much better all-around player because he's much better passer.
False.
Cap.
False.
Well, let me speak.
Dribbling, free throws.
Dude, look at the averages. Just look at the averages.
All right, here's some averages. LeBron averages more assists and rebounds than Jordan does. He averaged a much higher field goal percentage along with a higher 2-point percentage and 3-point percentage. I'd say he's a more versatile defender. He's 6'9", 250. Like, let's be real.
280.
All right, 280. We'll go 280. Anywhere between 250 and 280 because in his career he probably played in between those weights. But versatile defender, can guard really anybody if he wants to. One of the greatest, I mean, he's up there in like top passers. Like he's a great distributor. He's going to get you rebounds. He's always going to get you points. He's not afraid. He doesn't need to take the shot to win the game. He's okay with letting someone else take the shot if it's a better shot because he's got faith in his teammates. Michael Jordan, without an all-star in the playoffs, was not very good at all. At all.
What years are you taking this from? What years?
Okay. Before Michael Jordan got Scottie Pippen,
Okay.
he had a record of 1-9 in the playoffs before he got Scottie Pippen. There was no all-stars on his team before he got Scottie Pippen. It was just MJ.
Against the Dynasty Celtics? Larry Bird Celtics? I mean, I think LeBron lost to them too. Like those were the Warriors back in the day.
Yeah, but that was the finals.
So,
LeBron carried the team to the finals.
Yeah, because
Plus,
there was no Warriors.
2016.
There was no Warriors in his conference.
2016, 3-1 deficit. The greatest comeback in finals history. Greatest comeback in finals history. Blessed to see it. LeBron's an alien. That kind of talent doesn't normally exist on this planet. We're blessed.
That's why he was in Space Jam.
Speaking of Space
That's why
Jam,
his Space Jam was better.
no, LeBron. Michael Jordan was 22 for 22 on field goals. Had
I-
one game winner.
I will say I was capping about his Space Jam being better. That is the one thing Jordan does have above him
Yeah, they
in the
downgraded.
all-time
They
debate.
downgraded Lola Bunny. How do you do that?
I was fine with that. We didn't need sexy Lola Bunny. That wasn't the focus of the movie.
No, I
LeBron being
agree.
It was
LeBron
a focus
being
for
the
a lot of
basketball player
people.
he was the focus of the movie.
No, I agree. That's valid points.
Hold on. I want to give my top 10, right? Just so we can give some context to where LeBron fits in greatness. Greatness is what you achieve. Greatness is not how skilled of a player you were. LeBron is a very skilled player. His playmaking stats are inflated because he gets a lot of assists. He's not a great playmaker. He just gets a lot of assists. Putting that out there. At number 10, I have Kareem. 9, Shaq. 8, Magic. Larry, my only white guy, number 7. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Tim Duncan at 4. LeBron at 3. Kobe at 2. Mike at 1.
Disrespectful.
Kobe has 5 championships.
I'm not gonna say anything about Kobe because I don't like to disgrace a man's grave, but he's not above LeBron James. I have a lot of respect for Kobe Bryant. He's not above LeBron James. The Mamba mentality is a real thing, and it influenced a real generation of basketball players. But Kobe Bryant's not above LeBron James. Here's my top 5 just for reference here, for anybody wondering.
I don't think you can say when Kobe was around that LeBron worked harder than Kobe. No, there's no shot.
Nobody worked harder than Kobe, but that's because Kobe wasn't born with a natural ability like LeBron. LeBron was from birth. Everyone knew this is going to be the greatest basketball player to grace the planet. They knew that from birth.
Well, they didn't know that because Michael Jordan was around. So
Yeah.
they knew he wasn't going to be the great. They knew he was going to be a great number 2, great number 3.
Listen, they don't call Michael Jordan the king.
Sure.
Huh?
They don't call Michael Jordan the king.
They don't. They call him the GOAT.
No, they call him
The GOAT.
the second.
I ain't never heard nobody call Michael Jordan the second.
No, he comes in second place to
MJ.
LeBron in the race for the GOAT. Let's be real here. My top 5 is Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and then at 1, LeBron James.
Magic way too high.
Well, I mean, if he didn't get AIDS, Magic career would be viewed much differently, I think.
Magic Johnson had AIDS and nobody wanted to touch him for those last couple MVPs, last couple championships.
And that's fair. That's fair. Larry Bird, very good.
Yeah. I'm okay
Kobe
with-
Bryant, greatest Laker of all time, only because LeBron hasn't played for the Lakers long enough and it was too late in his career.
They won in the bubble.
Okay. The reason no. The reason people huff on freaking LeBron copium for like as long as they have is only because he's been in the league and been like good in the league for so long, like a solid pick in the league for so long. Okay, if Jordan had continued his like dominant streak at like the same clip he had been going, like, which I think objectively we can all agree he was more talented than LeBron, like, ever in his
Wrong.
prime. Yes, thank you.
Wrong.
Like, if he continued at the same clip he had been going at, he would have an outstanding record that would stand any test of time, I think.
You mean
It's
6-0,
LeBron.
right?
Huh?
6-0. That's his outstanding record.
'Cause
Yeah.
he couldn't get to more than 6. so-
0 losses. 2 3-peats. Like, I mean,
with quite a bit of help.
we this is called the LeBron era, and LeBron has never been the best team. And he's moved.
Yeah.
Like LeBron has never been the best team in the NBA ever in his career.
Yeah.
Even with he wasn't the best team. And he was the best player of this generation.
Okay. To be fair,
Curry. I'm gonna talk on Curry. Curry
Curry's
might
the
be a little
best.
bit above.
One of the best shots.
In terms of greatness, Curry's unanimous MVP, 4 championships. This might be Curry's era.
That's straight capping. I mean, it's definitely not Curry's era. Let's not put any. That's so disrespectful to LeBron.
Are you
To
looking
even
at LeBron's
consider
record right now?
Huh?
Are you looking at
Listen,
game
LeBron's on the
record.
back end of his career right now. It's completely fair. It's okay to be on the back end of your career.
Yeah, but what? Like,
You don't have to retire at the top of your game because you're nervous you're going to get bad like Jordan did. He got scared. He got scared. He got scared he was going to be bad and left.
I don't think that's why.
No.
I don't
18 years in the league, and he's averaged like LeBron James. 18 years in the league. Last year is his 18th year in the league. 25 points he's averaging. You don't do that as in your 18th year in the league. You don't do that as a starter in the 18th year in the league. And you mentioned the bubble championship, right? People call that a Mickey Mouse championship, right? Because it was played on ESPN grounds owned by the mouse himself. Okay. Let me tell you something about that championship. Might have been the hardest championship in all of NBA history ever to win. You know the mental toughness you have. You know the mental toughness you have to win that championship. To go through that playoff run and that part of the regular season you had to do there, where it's literally basketball 24/7. You literally don't even get a break from it. Like in my mind, I don't even. I would have broke. I mean, you saw in that bubble how hard it was for some guys to perform. That Clippers team was supposed to win it all that year. Paul George couldn't shoot a three because he was going through mental issues unlike anyone else because that bubble was terrifying to some players. And LeBron, through the adversity of the bubble, with not really being able to see your family until kind of the end there, in like the conference finals and the championship itself, like that is a magnificent run they went on. And like won that championship for Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Like, what a legendary story that is.
What a coincidence.
I don't think. Oh,
What a coincidence.
don't you dare
What a coincidence.
say how rigged that is.
Who
What a shame.
who was hurt? Who was hurt?
Take away his mic privileges, please.
The
This guy.
The Heat players did not have all the guys. Bam Adebayo was hurt throughout the whole finals. He was hurt. The best defensive
Would
player.
have whooped him with Bam. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Would have put it to him. Listen, Jimmy Butler, some people would say is this. Maybe he might actually be the blood son of Michael Jordan, and he couldn't take LeBron James down. Not even Jordan's supposed own blood could take LeBron down. That's how good LeBron is.
Oh man. And speaking, like the bubble also amplified people's play. Like let's not forget that. Like Jamal Murray, come on now.
I will say the depth
Donovan
perception.
Mitchell.
There is a depth perception type thing that was with the bubble because that was almost like shooting at a high school gym where instead of it being a wide open arena behind you, it is just kind of a wall. Yeah, maybe that helps
It's a lot
some
better to
guys. Maybe that helps some guys, but that means okay, everybody was on the same playing field then. You're playing all on the same court. Like you're all playing with a possible elevated, play. So it definitely elevated some guys' play. It definitely hurt some other guys' play because they weren't mentally tough enough to handle that bubble. And LeBron kept his team good enough and mentally tough enough to win that championship, which is extremely impressive to me.
I mean, I just think it shows who. I feel like
It shows who LeBron is as a player,
No,
doesn't it?
I wasn't saying that. I was saying that like the bubble as a whole kind of brought out who doesn't have the stamina and who's really about it. And like in my opinion, it kind of just was like it was like a smelting ground where it's like, oh, we're gonna put you to work. Y'all are gonna work hard. It's gonna be a lot of basketball in a very condensed amount of time. And those who are good enough and strong enough to perform through that are going to make it to the end. And that's literally just what we
And
saw.
who ended up on top? LeBron James.
Question. Going back to my point. How much of a coincidence it is that the Lakers won the championship in the Mamba uniforms for Kobe. Where did the Lakers fall the next season? Very next season. Where did the Lakers fall? In a playoffs.
First round.
Against Phoenix Suns.
They weren't healthy.
Play-in tournament. AD was healthy for those games. Series was tied 2-2. That was anybody's series. Like if the Lakers were so good to go through all that adversity, it was adversity in the bubble. It was the same exact team. Your young guys should have gotten better. Kyle Kuzma should have gotten better. Taylor Horton-Tucker should have gotten better. So your team should have been better, if not the same as it was the last year when you guys were the number 1 seed and you made it to the finals. So how do you go from a number 1 seed to a number 8 seed? Number 8 seed barely would have made the playoffs. Saw 3 rims when he shot over Curry. Like, Curry's an amazing defender. And then they meet a real team like the Phoenix Suns.
Well, let's think about this. They played the Phoenix Suns in. All right, they played the Phoenix Suns first round. They got bounced.
Yeah.
All right. When did the Lakers season end in 2021? Like when did that season begin? Right. When did that season begin?
What do you mean this season began?
Like the season after the bubble. The
Began-
season after the
began in
bubble.
December.
It began in December.
December.
When did the Lakers win their championship?
Like September.
Not a lot of time off, right?
So
They didn't have a lot of time to rest their bodies. They went through COVID. They went through maybe the hardest championship run of all time in the bubble.
Dallas Mavericks against LeBron.
And then had
CJ
to
Pereira locked LeBron up.
and then had to go on after that, not even a few months down the road, and pick up another season. Listen, 18 LeBron's older. Like, your body's not meant. I mean, by that point he had already played longer in the NBA than Jordan ever had.
Started in high school though.
Yes.
He had 3 years on Jordan, minus his hiatus in the middle. So he started when he was 18. Jordan started when he was 21.
And that's fair. That's fair. But that's only 2 years. That was probably, let's see,
That's
LeBron's 16th year in the league is when that would have been. Jordan had 15.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So that would have been either LeBron's 15th or 16th year. So the next year he would have that would have been one more year than Jordan. So like he still would have had that 1 year plus on Jordan. Like
Jordan went 36 years old. LeBron didn't. So if we're talking about the longevity of somebody's career, Jordan was 36 when he won his last championship. LeBron got bounced in the first round, being locked up by Jay Crowder. So, I mean, if we're talking about the GOAT debate, like LeBron lost to the Dallas Mavericks with the best team in the NBA. Many would argue it was a different team, but he lost to the Dallas Mavericks as the best team in the NBA. He only won 2 championships with the super team Heat that he created himself. 2 championships after bringing, the Cleveland to the finals. Great for you for bringing Cleveland to the finals. Cleveland sucked. It was just you and a bunch of role players. Ziggy was pretty cool. Then he goes back to the Cavs when the Cavs finally have young talent. They trade for Kevin Love. They get 1 championship. They suck. He wins 1 championship with the Lakers, which is questionable. So what? That's 1 with the Cavs, 2 with the Heat, 1 with the Lakers.
So would you say the super teams that LeBron won with were definitely less talented than the super teams that Michael Jordan won with? Because nobody called them super teams back in the day, but
No.
those 2 teams that the Bulls were able to three-peat were easily way more talented than the teams that LeBron played on for the Heat. By far.
Michael Jordan didn't lose to the Dallas Mavericks with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and Ray Allen. Jordan did not lose to the Dallas Mavericks. Jordan didn't lose 6 finals. And 4 of them, what is it? 3 or 4 of them were Warriors. 5 is the Mavericks. Who's the other one I'm missing? There's another finals that I'm missing. I know that I am, but LeBron has been to 10. He's only won 4. Scottie Pippen was a great number 2. Dennis Rodman was a great number 3. But not to say that the teams that they played against were not good. That's bullcrap. The Detroit Pistons, LeBron never faced against the Detroit Pistons. He had nobody in the East. He played nobody to get to the finals. And so getting to the finals is not an accomplishment. That's what you're supposed to do if you're the greatest player of your generation. If you're the greatest player on one side of the conference, where everybody knew that the champion was coming out of the West, like you were thinking Houston's coming out of the West, or Golden State's coming out of the West. Pelicans have Anthony Davis. They're going to come out the West with Boogie Cousins. Like, there were so many good teams. The Thunder were coming out of the West with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Like, there were so many good teams on the Western side where you're like, these teams are going to win. The only team that you thought about in the East was the Cavs. Nobody ever thought Toronto was going to the finals.
It's because everybody was aware of the greatness that LeBron was and is to this day.
No.
Everyone knew that he would walk right through the East.
No, it's expected.
And let's be real here. Let's be real. Wrap this up here. Let's be real. LeBron's 6'9", 250 to 280, fluctuating weight throughout his career. You put him back in the 90s and swap him for Michael Jordan, he wins 6 championships too. He would have dominated back in the 90s just like Michael Jordan does. And Michael Jordan probably does a lot of the same things LeBron does. These two are, it's in my mind, it's not really that close between anybody else on like who the 2 greatest players in basketball are.
I simply disagree.
And
with that.
Kobe could also, like, you could also throw Kobe in that mix because I think Kobe, of those 2, is the only other one in my mind that you could swap those guys and get the same kind of results.
Okay, I can see. I can see where you can swap LeBron and Kobe, because Kobe just had that work ethic. But I don't see you swapping Jordan and LeBron and getting the same stuff just because of like the starting out where LeBron, if he had the team that was willing to make him that top guy and build the team around him, and then put Jordan in a team that doesn't give 2 jack squats about their team or building around a type guy, like the guy that they have in a Jordan, like I don't see them that going the same way.
If you swap out Scottie Pippen and LeBron James,
This is so disrespectful.
It
Don't
is-
even finish that sentence.
it is going to be 6-0, and LeBron is not doing anything when Michael Jordan is gone. If you switch Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, it's going to be the same outcome. I'm sorry. It's
Comment down below who you think won this debate. Very intrigued to see how many people are on my side and agree because they're smart. But this was a great episode, boys. I had fun with the debates. We'll have to do it again. I think the one debate we won't really be able to do because we all 3 agree is the football GOAT debate because we all know it's Tom Brady and it's not even really a question on who else it might be. But comment down below what other debates you would want us to do. This was definitely a fun segment for me. I know it was fun for Nate, and I know it was fun for Tyler. So we'll see which debate we do next in 2 weeks, or probably next week, because in 2 weeks we'd probably do a Thanksgiving draft is what we would do. So
Thanksgiving food.
yeah, next week we will do another debate. And 2 weeks from now, we will do a Thanksgiving food draft for the holidays. So looking forward to that. Check out my Daniel Snyder video coming later this week. Make sure to go subscribe to the Box Out with Nate because, I mean, guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to basketball outside of the fact of who he thinks is the greatest of all time. But outside of that, I hope you guys have a great weekend.
One final update. The Ravens won.
Oh, congrats to the Ravens on continuing to win.
For all the flock out there, the Ravens won.
Screw the flock, but that's okay.
Freak you Steelers too.
Great episode, boys. We will see you guys next week. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. Peace.